All right, good morning. Welcome back to the Weight Escape. I am super excited to have Darla Andrews from sunny California on today. We had the joy of meeting each other and kind of getting to know each other through Todd Durkin's mastermind program. So when I reached out to her, I knew she was someone that was quality that I really wanted to come on and speak about her personal experience. Because, sometimes when you're young and you're busy with life and you're, either a college athlete or you're in really good patterns, things feel great. And then you have a family and all of a sudden you're juggling kids, you're juggling this, you're juggling this. And then you realize that you're the one that's been forgotten, or you've forgotten about yourself, I should say. And it's like, what do you do? Like, how do you get it back? What's going on? And you start to have a million things going on. So I've actually asked Darla on today to speak a little bit about her experience because, from what I understand, she was fairly active while she was young, but has a family and life changed for her. So I'm going to let her kind of introduce herself really quick, what she does. I think she's in Brea, California. Did I say that right?
I am.
Yay! Not far from business. But let her sort of say who she is, what she does, and then we are going to get into her story because I think it's an incredible one personally. So welcome, Darla.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Super excited to be able to share with everybody a little bit about me. I am, first of all, a mom. That's how I just approach it, because that's my number one job, always has been. And I'm also a personal trainer, certified fitness nutrition specialist. I've got different certifications in the personal training world. Started in group exercise years ago, like way, way, way back, before I even had kids. And that was my background, was group exercise. And my husband and I here live in Orange County. We have a health center. He's a chiropractor, really more of a sports doctor because we do so many different things there. So I'm working with individuals just who want to transform their body, their health, most importantly. And I think that's really as far as who I am. And Orange County, too far from Disneyland. That's what a lot of people kind of, Brea, probably nobody knows where that is, but we're about, I would say 20 minutes from Disneyland. So yeah, that's it. And I don't know if you want me to jump into my journey or if you want to ask me. I can talk for this whole time. I can start with the me before kids and the group X, and then go in kind of along.
I would love that, actually. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
A little bit about you before kids and such, and then
yes, and then interject anytime. Stop me and go, wait a sec. So, sorry, my gardener's here, and I hope you can't hear. Come on, buddy. Anyway, when I was about 18, I started teaching group exercise at a little gym down in San Diego, and I just kind of fell into it. Started out working in the gym. Loved fitness, and it was my outlet. My parents divorced when I was 15, almost 16. It was my outlet, and I ended up getting a job there teaching group exercise, and just was trying to get my life back on track, kind of making dumb decisions when I'm, you're a teenager. And so I ended up getting pregnant with my first daughter at 22, got married, had my first one at 22. And then about a year and a half later, they're about 18 months apart, I had my second one. So I wasn't I'm going to plan everything out. I was never in sports when I was younger. I wanted to be. I did do gymnastics, at the rec center. I really loved gymnastics, but just things happened in my life. I never did, competitive sports or anything like that. So anyway, that was my introduction into fitness. Loved it. Loved teaching group exercise. But then I had my first daughter. I have 5 girls, by the way. I don't know if they're all girls. So anyway, by the time I was 23, I had two kids, and then I became a single mom shortly after that. I just realized that my first husband wasn't we knew each other growing up, and I realized that I didn't want to spend my life raising a third child. a grown one. So I was a single mom for a little while with my two kids. And then
Excuse me.
bless you, bless you. And then I ended up meeting my husband, who we've been married now going on 29 years. I know. So he came into the picture. We just really hit it off. He didn't have any kids. So of course we wanted to have our own family. So about 3 years later, I had my third child, another girl. And right around after I had her, I started teaching group exercise again, started working out again, felt pretty good, trying to juggle it all. I had opened my own daycare, so I was running a licensed daycare because I've always been very entrepreneurial minded, and I wanted to be at home, raise my kids. So I was doing daycare, and I would get up in the morning before daycare, teach group exercise at what used to be Family Fitness, now known as 24-hour fitness. That's how long it's been. So I would teach in the morning, then I would come home, take care of the kids, and just, run my daycare and all that. And then we planned having our fourth daughter about 5 years later. So there's and you froze. Am I frozen, Jen?
No, we're still going. It's all good.
We are now frozen.
Uh-oh.
Is it okay?
Yep.
I don't know. Okay. So then, anyways, fast forward to, I got pregnant with our fourth daughter, who at that time I was in my 30s. I was in my early 30s when I had my fourth baby. And I had a few complications just with the pregnancy where I had to be on kind of not bed rest, but I had to stop working out. I had to be on kind of a modified bed rest. And so that was kind of like, okay, I got to stop working out. Ended up having her and went back to just being a crazy mom, running my daycare. Kind of by then, fitness was sort of, on the back burner because by then I had a daycare license for 12. I ran a preschool. And then I closed my daycare. I decided I was going to, that time, go back to school. I wanted to be a teacher, like kindergarten. And then we got pregnant again. So at 39, I was pregnant with my baby. She's just like the biggest blessing on the planet. All of them are 5 kids. But so anyway, at 39, a few months before I turned 40, I had our youngest daughter. And it was when she was 3. So about the time I was 43, we were at dance class. I remember this distinctly. She was in dance. I was just, sitting there watching her, and I kind of looked down. Okay, wow. I was tired all the time, and I just felt like, I knew that I wasn't taking care of me, but I looked down at myself and I went, what in the heck happened? My gosh, So I remember sitting there and I thought this very thing. I thought, by the time she is in high school, I'm going to be in my 50s. I had better start doing something about taking care of myself now so that I can keep up with her. Well, I'm 56 now. She's going to graduate. And that was really the time, that turning point. And it was a decision. It was a decision that I wanted to change. And I didn't start off like jumping in with, I'm going to work out 6 days a week and I'm going to go on a diet. And it was nothing like that. It was just like, you know what? I'm going to start finding time to work out again. And that's where it started. So I went in, found a boot camp that met early in the morning. For me, that's works the best, because if I do it first thing before I'm up taking care of the family, that always works the best. So started my fitness journey, and I really fell in love with the boot camp. It was so much fun and the camaraderie. So I found something, number one, that I was enjoying doing. And at that point too, kind of on the side, I went, gosh, you know what? Wasn't going to be a teacher in kindergarten anymore. I decided to pursue, that's at the same time where I decided to pursue my personal training certification, get back into the world of fitness. And so I did. So I did that. And then as a result, opened my own small group boot camp. But throughout that process, I was working out and then the owner of one of the first gyms I was at, I was, just kind of there at lunchtime, and he was not a runner, but he liked to run. And there was a nice hilly trail right by the gym. And he said one day, do you want to go on a run real quick? And I hated running. I was like, okay. I don't even know why I said okay, but I was like, why not?
Interesting.
My oldest daughter was a cross country runner. And I remember, just to backtrack, when she was 16 and she was 16 and our youngest was a baby. Okay. I remember just taking a quick jog around the neighborhood with her. I thought I was going to die. I thought it was just stupid. Why would anybody run for fun? So anyway, long story short, I did go on a run with him, thought I was going to die, but it's really interesting because when the starting point of working out led me to the next point where I thought, maybe I will just try to run and challenge myself in a way that I never had before. And I had a couple friends that were running. So sure enough, I just started to get out and run for a mile, and then I'd walk, and then I'd run a mile, and then next thing you know, I ran 3 miles, and then next thing you know, I ran 5. And it sort of evolved into just this, like, why would I ever put myself in this box or this limit and not just try to get out of that little box and see what I could do? And so I remember I just started, that became my stress outlet, really. Honestly, it really became where it was just me, my quiet time. Not everybody loves running, but my point to this is I ended up probably in my mid to later 40s doing 2 full marathons, which my husband's like, I can't believe you ever did that. Lots of half marathons. But I felt that through those processes, I transformed, really, more importantly, physically, mentally, and inside as a person. Like, I felt more confident. I felt stronger. I felt less tired. I felt like now I can keep up with my daughter. Some of her friends, especially the boys, might be a little scared of me. They're like, does your mom work out? Oh, so, which is good. So if you've got kids, you want to look like you could, take care, like defend your kids, right? So anyway, but the doozy was, I remember at 40, I think I was, 47, or I had a friend that had coached people into competing on a stage in a bikini, figure competitions. There's bodybuilding, there's figure competitions, bikini. And I had a friend one day and he said, you should compete. Have you ever thought of competing? And I was like, no, absolutely not. Nope. Never. I don't even like to wear a bikini at the beach. If I do, I put my towel on when I'm like, there's no way. And then, my husband was like supportive, and I had a couple of friends that said, well, just go for it. And I went, I don't know. So anyways, long story short, I thought, let me just challenge myself, get out of the box, and work out, see if I can even get myself in that shape to even want to get up on a stage. So I just kind of approached it like that. And that's how I approached, really, in my fitness journey, everything. Once I had a specific goal, then I was like, okay, this is my goal. This is my focus for this time. But my approach to fitness was always like, why not, approach this as though I could do it, and let's see what happens. And then, you know what I'm saying? Just challenge me against me. Just always trying to challenge myself. So I ended up training for the show, training, prepping, which that was probably the most challenging thing physically and mentally I've ever done. Harder than running a marathon, because the diet, which, by the way, I've always been one to tell my clients, don't diet. We have to have an eating plan for life that you can live with, because dieting there's a whole different topic I can do on the psychology, what it does to you mentally. I struggled with some eating, disorders when I was younger, and I had completely gotten rid of those, grew out of them, I guess you'd say. But anyway, so the competition diet, that was ridiculous. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, here I am telling my clients, don't diet. And I'm doing, but that's what I had to do for that specific goal. It was never something that I could do, indefinitely, but it did reinforce that whole idea of, you have to have, when it comes to your health and fitness, you have to have it be something that is beyond the scale, or portions, or size of jeans, or deprivation. So I ended up doing my first competition. I think I was 49, 40. I know I was closing in on 50, somewhere in there. And I did really well. I ended up coming first place in my age group, in my category. I brought home the sword, which was a big thing. And I was just standing up there going, what the heck just happened? I mean, it was exciting. I felt like, wow. And it just taught me that we are capable of so much more than we think when we allow ourselves to just do things we never thought we would even want to do, you know? I mean, so then a couple of years later, I did compete again. I ended up going into the natural, because the first competition I was in, I've always been natural. When you're in that realm, there's people that are taking things that are not natural. And my thing is always about health. I'm not going to compromise my health. So, and then a couple of years later at age 51, I competed in the International Natural Bodybuilding INBA, got my pro card, came in second at the Natural Olympia. So it was definitely a great journey. And so I guess my whole story through that took me, let's see, 43, and I'm now 56. So I've been on this journey for over a decade, 12, but 15 years now, 16. And it's one that's constantly evolving as we age. Our bodies are different. My body is completely different even than it was in my early 50s. And I think you just have to approach your health and fitness with, number one, deciding. Like that was the biggie. I sat there that day and I made a decision to make a change. And then I started out with small things. Like my first initial was I went to the boot camp 3 days a week. I was consistent with that. I did end up really honing in on my nutrition, not the crazy diet prior to that. I really honed in just because I was having a lot of gut issues. I was eating healthy, but I realized there was other things. So it's not really about longevity or lifespan. It's about your health span. You know, it's about thinking in terms of where do I want to be 10 years from now? And that's what I did when Mackenzie was 3. I thought, where do I want to be when she's in high school? And here she is in high school now, and I can keep up with her. I think she can't keep up with me.
That's the hope, right?
But I mean, so I don't know if you want to ask whatever you feel like would be the most helpful for, you know, your students here or the people that are going to be hearing this. You know, that's just kind of in a nutshell. Not that you have to go run a marathon or compete in any, but it's just how you approach it, and just more about kind of taking on challenges that translate into other areas of life. That's really helped me deal with a lot of things outside of fitness from just a mental standpoint, mental strength. So I don't know, Jen, I hope that helps.
Great. No, I love what you said, but I'd love to hear just a little bit more, like you say, about like those challenges, because, you know, for some people listening, they might be like, well, yeah, I would love to run a half marathon, but I can't even get around the block.
Right.
Oh, but you didn't start there, right? Like you started with, no, I'm going to go to boot camp 3 days a week.
Absolutely.
Right? And then
yes.
your goals sort of shifted. Mm-hmm. So if you don't mind, I'd love you, if you could just back up just a tiny bit and sort of talk about like, yeah, it started with the smaller ones, and this is how I knew it was time, because, you know, it's so easy to say, yeah, I was able to do so much more than my body was capable of.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But there was probably a time where you didn't know you were going to get to here either.
Oh, never. No. Oh, no. If you would have asked me, as a matter of fact, and that's just getting into the marathon side of it. I remember when I was finally able to just run 3 miles without stopping. It was just kind of like, okay, I'm good. And I remember saying, I think at that point I was running 5, I don't know. But I remember I have a friend that was doing the Boston Marathon, and I just thought, how insane is that? I said, well, who would ever want to run more than 3 to 5 miles? That's just silly. But it started really as that first choice of just going to boot camp 3 days a week, focusing on just one thing at a time. I think that is the most key thing. Like when I started with running, I didn't think to myself, you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to start running miles. I just started with those first, like, I'm going to go out and see how far I can run, and then take a walk, and then run, walk. And even when I signed up to do my first half marathon, I remember specifically my sister, she and I were on the phone, and she had done a half marathon before. And I think at that point, one day, I wasn't even planning. I just, I had worked my way up to that by starting with just 1 mile, not even running the whole time. Walk, run, walk, run. Then by the time I got to 5, I remember one day I just went a little further, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just did 6 today. It was just more like I was not even thinking about the mountain in front, or I have to do this. Like, I have to go out today and I have to run, I just kind of was in the moment, and I went out and I did 6. And I remember my sister saying, why don't you just sign up for a half marathon? You just ran almost half the distance. And I was like, so when I did decide to do my first half, even for the training, I remember thinking in my head, I was driving from one point to another point, just like here to the beach, or I don't know, that's further than 12 miles. But I remember in my head thinking as I was driving that day going, oh my gosh, I signed up for a half marathon, and this is how long 13.1 miles is. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. Like, I had doubt in my head for sure. But then I just remember, even in my training, I just would chunk things out. You have to chunk it out into little bite-sized pieces. So I would chunk it out and say, okay, today I'm going to do, like, for my first 10-mile run, I said, I'm going to run 5 miles, turn around, come back. And in my mind, I just said, I'm going to run 5 miles. I didn't say I'm going to run 10. You know what I'm saying? It's totally, you kind of have to mentally do these games with yourself where you're just like, I'm just going to go out for 10 minutes today. That's it. 10. I'm going to go out for 10. Maybe that day you'll actually surprise yourself and feel better. And you'll even go out for 20 minutes that day for a walk. Do you see what I'm saying? I think the most important step is just taking the step. And then just from there, every single time, once I got out, I never, unless I was physically not feeling good, but I never came back and said, well, what a stupid thing. Why did I just work out today? Like, my days were, you know what I'm saying? I always felt better, always. And so I think that's the way you look at it, is just little tiny goals. And then you develop this momentum that keeps you motivated. Motivated will never stay. You'll never continuously be motivated. I have to, like, make myself, even now, go out and get moving. Motivation will not carry you through. It's exciting in the beginning, but you just have to approach it with discipline and a decision. I think it's a decision, and then it's the discipline to follow through, and the momentum is a byproduct. And what do you call that? The motivation is a byproduct, because as long as you are going out and taking action and you're doing that thing, you feel that sense of accomplishment, which is a success. It creates this momentum, and that is what carries you through, because your motivation is you're gonna be like, I don't want to get out of my jammies today. So that's it. It's simple, but it's not, because we talk ourselves out of it easily. Mm-hmm. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, no, I love the way you said it, because it's so true. Sometimes we can get, like you say, so fixated on, like, finishing the half marathon, or getting into this pair of jeans, or getting on the scale and having this result. And it's like, somehow if we don't get those things, then either we give up, or we lose the momentum, or these pieces happen. And I love the way you said it's about, like, those small commitments. And you know what? Maybe you do get outside and you end up doing more, because once you're out there, you feel good.
Exactly.
Those small,
and the fat loss it's the outcome. So you want to do the action without being married to the outcome per se, because if you're just focused on the outcome all the time, and you don't hit that goal on such and such date, when you said, I want to be this much weight by this date, and then you get discouraged because that doesn't happen on that, you just have to focus on the action, not the outcome. It's the action. I didn't even know, like I said, and then when I was out there, I was also trying to just really enjoy the fact that I can move. I remember I had a friend that when I was training for my first half marathon, and she had passed away from breast cancer, and she had 2 little ones. She was only 37. I remember thinking about her, and she and I, before, when she was going through chemo and all that, she was my only one in our circle of friends who would meet me sometimes at the gym at 7 a.m. That carried me through. I thought, I can move. There's a lot of people that, I need to be thankful that I can, and not look at it as a chore. Like, it's just a blessing to be able to be out here. And if I feel a little tired or crappy, I'll just push through, because I would think of my friend Jeannie a lot too, and just think, we could be in a worse place. So it's really a lot of just, it's your own mind that gets in the way, I think,
Yeah, I think that's important. I mean, not that any of us want to face the fact that we're losing people in our lives, but
Right.
to actually be able to celebrate the fact that we are in a position where we can.
Right.
There may be a day we can't, or there may be like a friend or a family member or somebody else, and it's good to stay humble and kind of appreciate the fact that we are able to.
Exactly. So it's just, I don't know. It's just all about taking care of ourselves, because we can, and we are going to be way better for our kids. That was the other thing. Like, from a perspective of, if I'm going to be a good, mom for my kids, I've got to take care of me, or I'm going to be crabby and cranky and tired. Not to say that I'm never like that now, but it is a relief of stress for sure. So I think that's it. You just have to chunk it out into small blocks of tiny goals. Yeah.
So I know people are out there thinking, okay, she's got 5 kids. How did she do it? How did you find time? Because, I have 2 kids and I don't know how to find time. So I would love if you could, I know you said early mornings, but is there any other sort of pieces that you use to be able to work with kids?
I think for me, early mornings were definitely the most important. Now, I know that by the time I started, I did do daycare and took care of a group of kids. So for me, that early morning was key. But I think there's times in our lives and seasons where it's crazy, and maybe there's people out there that can't do early morning. How about looking at it from a different perspective? You don't even have to physically, like, say, to get up and go, I have got to go to the gym, or I have got to work out. Why not build it into your day? Also, there's always time to move. If people have time to sit on the couch and look at their social media or whatever, there's always time to move. And I just think it's like making the decision again and thinking outside the box. I have a little thing I hand out for all my clients and people and people that I've coached online. It's called the NEAT activity checklist. NEAT, exercise activity thermogenesis, which is just a fancy word for everything. You know what it is, Jen, but I'm explaining to everybody else. Everything we do throughout our day that is non on purpose exercise, right? NEAT activity. Walking, taking the stairs, walking farther when we park. Who drives around looking for the closest spot for 10 minutes? Do you know what I'm saying? So if we become just a more active society and make it a point to do that, like you could, every time you walk out in your kitchen, I have been known to do this, by the way. I've had days when I was too busy and life was crazy and I did not get my early morning workout in, that I was making dinner in the kitchen one night and the water was boiling. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to bust out into some mountain climbers right here. And I put, the kids are like, what are you doing? I was working out in the kitchen. Why not? Like, you're standing there anyway. We really can't.
Yeah.
So I just made time. I made time. People make time for the things that they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's discipline. It's all it is. It's just, it's kind of like when you tell your kids, you got to sit down, you do your homework, you got to brush your teeth. Like, what if we didn't brush our teeth? Yeah. I just kind of, it's become a part of my daily routine. I think that's the key. That's the key.
No, I love that too, because I have a story of a gentleman that I was working with who could only commit to exercising 1 day a week. So we talked about that NEAT principle.
Yeah.
And he worked on the third floor of an office building. So he just decided the elevator is out of commission. Like
Yeah.
for 2 weeks, I'm not going to take the elevator. And
Yes.
he did the stairs, and he went down at lunch, and that was another flight of stairs. And then sometimes he'd go down for a third time. And so it got to the point where he just got used to taking the stairs, and he lost 5 pounds. I mean, it just wasn't
Yeah.
trying to, but it ended up losing 5 pounds in 2 weeks. And he was just like, well, like, how did that work?
Yeah.
And we talked about it. It was like, it was exercise and movement built into what he was already doing. And because his heart rate got up a little bit, he actually went upstairs and drank more water. Whole other topic.
That's great. Yeah.
It goes to show that extra couple minutes here and there when he actually did have it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't have to be that
right.
Big workout in the gym lasting an hour, this and that. It's,
exactly.
how to start that process in little pieces with what
exactly. And they also there's now research that shows that for people that do that, that is good if people can get up and do that. But then if they sit the rest of the day, it's not quite as effective as if you would then continue being active throughout the rest of your day. We are meant to move. We're just meant to move. And you can habit stack. A great book, James Clear, Atomic Habits. Stack your habits. If you're standing there waiting for your coffee to go in the morning, why not do some jumping jacks? Why not do, what I'm saying? Just stack a habit on top of another. And next thing you know, it just sort of becomes part of your routine. So where there's a will, there's a way.
Love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you back to something that you had said, because you had made a comment about the training for the marathon, but also training for your competitions, and how it actually reflected so much on life. So I'd love it if you could share whether it's a life lesson or two, or some of those pieces that you got from either the discipline, whatever it is for you, that actually turned over and impacted the rest of your life.
Well, it's definitely created in me more discipline in all areas of my life. So just having a commitment and seeing it through. And I do remember, like, each little thing builds on the other. So when I was in the middle of my training for my competition, there were days that I literally just had to drag myself. I just did not, either to the gym or into my garage, to do my early morning cardio. And I had the same memory of when I was doing my last 3 miles in my marathon, of just, all I have to do is just a little bit more. And I think it's just the ability in life then to be able to withstand obstacles that come your way in life too, and maybe learn how to better chunk things out instead of letting everything overwhelm you. And I guess that's really the thing, because it really all ties in together when you develop those skills, which that's why a lot of kids that play sports and things are learning so much that they can use in life skills. And I think it's the same way when we do things that we never really thought we could do, let alone would do, or when we thought we just didn't have it in us. Like for me, it was so uncomfortable being on stage. It was horrific. Like you've got competitors that get up there and they just love to flaunt. I was like, oh, get me off. Is it time to come down? So it was like, I didn't like that. I was way out of my comfort zone. But I think what it did is I left the stage going, that didn't kill me. I accomplished something that, I didn't think that I could do, that I was so scared, of, and nervous to do. So when you realize that you can, that you can tap into more than you think you can, that, I had always thought too, I want to write a book and kind of share my stories about my story. And it's same thing. It helped me write my book. Like same idea. I chunked it out. So I think it just kind of, you become more efficient and productive in your life, and more confident too. Definitely more confident, because not cocky, but just that confidence that, you know, a sense of like, wow, I didn't think I could do that. And I did, you know? So it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm guessing you probably know because you're an athlete too. So I've seen you with your, I have to say, I did one mini triathlon and I look at you, I'm like, holy cow, someday, Jen. I remember the swim. It was like, it was called not even a sprint. It was shorter than a sprint. I forgot the name. But anyway,
Super sprint?
it was a tiny sprint.
Right. Sometimes they call them tries, where it's like half a
Maybe.
sprint, or they call it a super sprint because it sounds
Yeah,
nice.
it was like, I know the bike ride was 16 miles. I'm trying to remember. But anyways, I did it right before I competed last time. So it's been 5 years. But you know what I'm saying about just what the transformation that happens when you kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone. It just does. I think you just can't help but become a stronger, more confident person and just know you've got more in you, you know? Yeah.
Totally.
I'm got to toot your horn too. So
what advice for anybody listening that's been either, sitting on the couch for a while trying to decide to get started, or kind of was active, but with the COVID, pandemic
right.
kind of is either withdrawn or kind of just became too much. And especially as women, we tend to let go of ourselves first while we're busy taking care of everybody else. But
Well,
out there kind of going, I'd like to get started again. Where do I start?
I say just I mean, it's such a cliche thing, but do it, because you are going to come to that point where it's a year later, it's 3 years later, it's 5, it's 10, and you're going to look back and be glad you did, because you're not going to be perfect either. I think the number one thing is, don't go into it trying to think, okay, this time I'm going to do it, and I'm going to just approach it from, I'm going to do this for me, because I know I've ignored myself. We certainly wouldn't ignore our family and our kids. We wouldn't. So approach it more of a, like, I'm going to just take care of me, and I'm going to go out and maybe just, go for a walk. Or if you're just somebody that you can't do that right now, just maybe I'm going to get up in the morning and do some stretching and some, just some kind of, and this doesn't have to be just fitness related, but I also believe in getting up early and just really spending time. I read the Bible, I pray, I spend quiet time. I just try to spend time with myself and work on all those areas of my life. And so for that person who just feels like, I'm starting over again, don't be hard on yourself. Like, just don't be hard on yourself. I've been there. Like, trust me, I've been there, done that. And I just think if you just approach it with one day at a time, even sometimes one morning at a time, hour, 1 minute. Sometimes that's really all it is.
Yeah.
Just say, maybe today I'm going to go out and I'm going to walk around the block once, or I'm going to walk, you know what I'm saying? Just start and don't worry about what's in the past, and just focus on today. And what can you do today? One thing, one healthy habit. It could even be, maybe you're just going to drink more water today. Maybe you're going to, something to take care of yourself,
I think that's so important what you say too. Like, don't worry about what's happened in the past, because we can't do anything about it. And unless you learn from it, then let it be there. And like you say, today is a new day. Today is a different day.
It is.
Sometimes we get a little too focused on what has or hasn't happened before.
Yes. And we kind of let those old, just those old patterns replay, I mean, even if you start today and then you blow it by noon, it's okay. Don't get in it's those patterns that we get in. So you can get into a good pattern or a bad pattern, or I shouldn't say bad, a positive or kind of a negative pattern, or, you know what I'm saying? So if you just are aware of that and you just decide to start today, even if you're not perfect by noon, it's okay. The whole day isn't shot. You know what I'm saying? Be nice to yourself. I think that's the biggie. And just then celebrate that you did get up and start that day. on the one thing. So I think we need to be way more nice to ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's so easy to be like, oh, I didn't do
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I blew it. I
It
must.
off, right? But it's like, but you did something. It's better to do
Yeah.
something imperfectly than do nothing.
And keeping track of what you're doing is important too. You're like, keep track, put it on the calendar. That's one thing too. I would map out my training on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I know I'm going to go A, B, and C. So if you schedule it on your calendar and you make that appointment with yourself, you got to keep it. So it also boils down to just doing the things that are going to set you up to where mentally you're preparing the night before. Tomorrow's my day. I'm going to go out and walk. So you know you're going to do it before you go to bed, got your stuff out. That's another important just habit to do that will help you be more successful. Because if you lay around, watch Netflix, and then you get up and you're like, oh dang, I slept it. You know what I mean? If it's treat it like an appointment. That's one thing I've scheduled the time for myself. It doesn't just happen. I am purpose to, yeah.
Yeah, that's important. I don't know. I know from my training how
Yeah.
important it is. But I think sometimes we do forget to schedule that time with ourselves, right? Because like you say, if it's in the calendar, it happens.
Yeah,
And if it's
exactly.
in the calendar, then it stays there and everything else can get scheduled around it. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
as a mom, it's like all these things are there and then it's like, where's that
Right.
time for me,
Exactly.
right? And then it's like another day goes by where I didn't do anything because I didn't find the time.
Exactly. We have to schedule it. And if the kids are playing sports or whatever, or well, maybe not right now. Now everybody has no excuse. I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? You can schedule it even if okay, I gotta take Johnny to whatever after school, then schedule it for you're gonna walk when Johnny's doing that. So just making sure you schedule it. That definitely is the other thing that was it's helpful. And I still do. So
you have some social media that people can follow you on, as well as a book, I believe.
I do. Yes. So my book is, let's see, I'll show you.
Awesome.
It's Build Your Best Body, Build Your Best Life, because in the process of building my best body, I didn't say perfect.
Yes.
My best, exactly. So in the process of me trying to build my best body from a health perspective and a strength, focusing on being strong and healthy, as a result, it helped me with really building my best life of the days I've been given, so the book is really not one of those how to get, six pack. It's really more about my story. And just the whole, what we're talking about today. It really kind of ties up. And I do have in there, some tips and some of my favorite workouts but it goes into more of the mindset and the habits. And so there's that. And then I'm on Instagram. I'm and I don't know if you're going to have like something going out, but you can put it in your,
make sure that you're,
so I'm on Instagram, D Andrews Fitness with a little underscore between the D and the Andrews. And then I'm on Facebook. So there will be links there that we can put in your notes, but that's it. And I'm in a transition period of life right now myself, but one thing's for sure is I'm still taking care of like physically myself. I've had some things that I'm working around, like just physically wise, that I really can't run anymore like I used to. So I got to find things I enjoy now, because that was my outlet. But I love to share on my social media, especially Instagram, things that are based around, fitness, food. I love food. I love eating healthy, clean, like super clean. I do a lot of keto, lazy keto, not strict dirty keto. But anyway, so I have a food blog. I also have a separate one that I started on Instagram. But I love to give tips to people on just quick and easy solutions, because nobody has time these days. So I just share things on my social media, and people can always reach out, if they want to chat more. And I do have some people I'm working with online still. So if anyone, is just in need of some guidance, I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. And I think that's so important too. Like you say, like we go through phases of life where we do kind of have to reinvent ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether it's COVID related, whether it's just life related, whether it's just, whatever, we all face, time
Right.
this happens, and it's never a bad time. It's never a bad
No.
time to reinvent yourself or to kind of take a look, is what I'm doing making me happy, or do I need to change?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. So I've been really, honored to be on and share my story. And I really hope that it's helpful, and, that whoever's listening can take away one or two things and not worry about trying to change everything all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you need anything, reach out. Her book, we'll make sure we have a link to her book. It's fantastic. Make sure we have a link to her social media for you. Sorry. And she's right. Like I've seen a number of her posts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do that. She's actually saved my butt for dinner on more than one occasion, because it's like, okay, I know what I was making. That is easy. I can do that, So sometimes it's nice to follow another mom,
Exactly. Oh yeah. We all have, and trust me, I'm following other people. I was like, ooh, that's good. That's like, looks like a good one. But no, it's always great to share with other people, and yeah, so that's it. I'm super excited to be here, and it's gonna be an interesting second half of the year, but make it a point to take care of you, especially because we're in stressful times, especially because I think that is so important. Some people now talk about stress. That is the number one time when you need to stay exercising, moving, for your mental. So yeah.
Such good advice. It's totally true.
Yeah.
Totally true.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.